Welcome back. This is the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carl. Sydney Antonio and Edwin Kwakofi are my guests for today. Let's get into the next part of the show. Let's get into the debate. Welcome to the debate on the Premier League preview show. Today we are going to West London. We are going to West London, the biggest club in West London, Chelsea Football Club. That's where we are today for our debate. And we're asking a very simple question. Are Chelsea in crisis? Are they really in crisis? Are they actually in crisis? That's the question for the afternoon. I'm sure lots of the Chelsea fans have got their own opinions on this. Edwin, let me start off with you. Are Chelsea in crisis?
Are Chelsea in crisis? If you mean a crisis of injuries, yes. If you mean confidence crisis, definitely.
Yes.
If you mean a crisis of
crisis.
fans being overreacting and critics as well overreacting, absolutely. If you are talking about a crisis in terms of on the pitch where Chelsea are going, no, I don't think they're in a crisis.
Okay.
Look, I'm not saying Chelsea have not started the season poorly, because obviously for a club of their standard they have, and on the face of it, things don't seem to be getting better. They are not scoring goals, the results are not coming. They are, even at home, they are very vulnerable. Away from home, it's really terrible, and they have a big run coming up in the next couple of weeks where Newcastle, they're facing Newcastle, Man City, Arsenal, Brighton as well.
That's an intense run.
It's going to be an intense run. So you worry on the face of it as a Chelsea fan. Are Chelsea in crisis? Absolutely not. I think that there are things that should be encouraging for Chelsea fans.
Okay.
If the performances were not good, if the players didn't show any commitment, I would absolutely agree with that assertion, but that's not the case. In the first game against Liverpool, Chelsea were really good.
Yeah,
should have got a win from that. We're unlucky not to. In the first half of the second half against West Ham, Chelsea were fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
And should have won that game. That game should have been beyond West Ham before halftime. Unfortunately, second half, West Ham got reduced to 10 men, and then some issues, Chelsea conceded a few goals. In games against Nottingham Forest, I felt Chelsea did enough to win the game. Against Bournemouth, Chelsea did enough to win the game. It's against Aston Villa, and that was their worst performance of the season. And I agree, the levels were not up to where they should have been. But that was after the international break. So I am willing to excuse that performance.
Maybe players were fatigued.
But in midweek against Brighton in the League Cup, we saw what they could do when they are giving some time, a lot of rest, when the players want to play the way the manager wants to. And I feel that there are so many stats that point to Chelsea going in the right direction. Of course, goal scoring might not be at the best right now, but Chelsea they are number 2 in most touches in the opposition box, which means a lot of players get into good positions in the opponent's box. They've missed 16 of their 18 big chances. So they are creating
16 of their 18 big chances.
Yes, only Southampton have missed more. I think in percentage, they've missed all 6 of their big chances. But you can tell that the players are creating lots of good chances. The only thing is they are not taking them. They have their top 3 in offsides in the season, which means players are so desperate to get goals that they are too eager, get into offside positions. They've hit the woodwork, the joint most times, 4 times in the league. And they've missed, as we said, the most big chances this season. So it tells me the players are actually making an effort to get into goal-scoring positions. They are actually creating chances. They are playing well, passing well, attacking very decently. The only thing that's missing, obviously, is the goals.
And what's that down to?
Look, you can't excuse the injuries that Chelsea, you can't understate the injuries that Chelsea have had this season. They went into pre-season with a policy that Nkunku is our lead attacker.
Yeah, that's true.
Jackson serves as support. Jackson is a young player who is starting up. He had a good end to the season in La Liga, but he's still one that is very raw and needs to. So he was supposed to either come off the bench or play as a second sort of supporting striker to Nkunku. Now he's been thrust into the light because of Nkunku's injury, expected to deliver goals for a team that basically had goal-scoring problems even before he came into the lineup. So a lot of pressure, and instead of giving him time to miss chances, allow him to miss chances as a young striker, eventually he will get on target. Allow him to make these mistakes. Now every mistake, every single touch is being scrutinized to the tiniest detail.
It comes with the territory when you play for a club like Chelsea.
And it does.
In the Premier League, things get highlighted.
Absolutely, and he's been played as a number 9, so he should have the stats of a number 9. Unfortunately, things aren't working out for him. Right. His supporting cast isn't as good, also working out. They are not in sync at the moment. But I've said this constantly. This Chelsea is being built up to be the best in the next couple of years. Okay. It's a project, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Things are going to get better. Last season, Newcastle started off the season. First 6 games, they've won 1. They had won 1 game. Yeah. Guess who's in the Champions League this season? They are. Newcastle. Okay.
So for you, there are no crises. There are a few issues here.
A few issues. A lot of issues that need to be dealt with. But crisis I think, is too soon to talk about.
Sydney, are Chelsea in crisis? Edwin seems to believe that teething problems, when you put new players together, these things will happen.
Nathan, are my shoes black?
Yes, they are black.
This question you're asking is as clear as this is a serious crisis that Chelsea is in. If you look at, let's take away this season. This has been going on for how long now? Put any other big team, obviously any other, put the traditional big teams in this position Chelsea are in. Yeah. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's a serious crisis. I mean, Enzo Fernandez came with so much fanfare in January. Yeah. He hasn't won even 3 games in the league. How is that not a crisis?
Is that true?
It is true.
Is that correct?
It is true. The Chelsea fans say, I saw some statistics
in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Yes.
I saw some stats during the week. I thought it was just trolling. But I went to check, I was like, wow, this is really bad. And if you look at the league table based on the calendar year, Chelsea are somewhere beside the team that got relegated last year. They are just neck and neck with them. It's not even a joke. And it's very bad. It's very bad. And, I do see Edwin's points that it's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you're running a marathon, in the first 10 minutes, you get hamstring, where will you end up in the marathon? You won't go anywhere. You are going
he says this team is being built for big things in a few years.
You need a correct foundation to have that ascension. And I'm not seeing the strength of the foundation they're building right now. Yes, they've gotten the fancy players, they've gotten the big names. I mean, I won't say big names, but
Caicedo, Enzo, Conor Gallagher, Cole Palmer, Kani Chukwuemeka,
Lavia,
Romeo Lavia,
Madueke,
Levi
Cole.
So I mean, it's a solid group of young players.
These guys you have mentioned, how many of them can you see that have had even 2 solid seasons of top flight proper football? Enzo Fernandez.
That adds to my point.
Yes, so right now it's a crisis because you need results now. You know, Chelsea is not a Newcastle. Chelsea is not an Aston Villa. This is a team that is built to win trophies. They're built to win. And
but everybody goes through a low time, so they are trying to rebuild
there's low time again. And there's in the mud. And this one there's in the mud because if you are saying the whole season, since the calendar year, I've only won about 2 or 3 games in the league. This unpardonable.
We are in September.
This is a sackable offense. We are in September. The year is almost ending. I mean, you close your eyes, open your eyes, the year is over. And up to now, you are still not seeing what they are putting up. So I wouldn't blame Pochettino too much. I believe he's a very good coach. Yeah. He can do wonders with young players, as you have seen in Spurs and stuff. But come on, if you buy a Rolls Royce, where will you buy your tires from? Kokompe or showroom? You buy a Rolls Royce, you assemble a 1 billion, and you put someone like Nicholas Jackson as the guy to score the goals.
Circumstances have forced Chelsea's hand.
Even the Nkunku that we are referring to,
we saw what
happened to Timo Werner. Timo Werner did the same. No, but Nkunku is like a mirror image. The guy he comes from the same team, and they both have the knack of coming off from the left. Because Nkunku himself, I won't say he's a traditional number 9. He operates more coming from the left, and that's the same thing we saw with Timo Werner. I don't want to make the Chelsea fans come and cut my head off and say you have a Timo Werner kind of. But I mean, the omens are not positive right now.
We'll
Serious work needs to be done, and Pochettino has his work cut out for him. But I believe that he's a good manager. He can get a tune out of the team. But in the here and now,
they are in crisis.
My shoes are black, and Chelsea's in crisis.
Okay, Edwin says no crisis. All right, look, Chelsea fans, wherever you are, you can continue the debate whether Chelsea are in crisis or not. Look, this is what I will say. It takes time. Pochettino has not even been there for 6 months. Let's just relax a little. All right, let's move on to the final part of the show. Let's get into the FPL zone.